What if your skin could see? What if your teeth were harder than steel? And what if your body was covered in medieval armor that had been evolving for 400 million years? Well, meet the chiton, a bizarre creature that you've probably never noticed before that lives in tidal zones all around the world. Don't let its humble appearance fool you. This is one of the most bizarre and underrated animals in the ocean, and today you're going to learn exactly why. All right, let's dive into the insane biology of the chiton. Let's start with the basics. At first glance, the chiton doesn't look like much, just a brownish oval stuck to a rock. But if you get close, really close, you'll see its body is covered in 8 overlapping plates that shimmer ever so slightly. These are called valves, and they form a tough, segmented shell that can flex and curve with the rock's contours. It's not just protection, it's armor with mobility. A medieval knight crossed with a limpet. Underneath is a muscular foot that grips the rock with intense suction. No glue, no barbs, just pure vacuum sealing pressure, molded to the surface like a living, breathing suction cup. This makes chitons nearly impossible to pry off without a sharp edge, and gives them unmatched resilience in the wave-battered world of the intertidal zone. Now here's where it gets weird. Look closely at the chiton's armor and you'll see dozens, hundreds, even thousands of tiny black dots. These are called aesthetes, and they're not just holes or spots. They're part of a complex, integrated sensory network. Most act like basic light detectors, helping the chiton sense changes in illumination, like shadows from predators above. But in some species, like Acanthopleura granulata, some aesthetes have evolved into true image-forming eyes. And these eyes have lenses made of argonite, a mineral version of calcium carbonate. In other words, this animal builds functional eyeballs out of rock. These lenses actually bend and focus light onto light-sensitive cells below the surface. The resolution is crude, something like a grainy, pixelated grayscale, but it's enough for the chiton to detect motion, direction, and danger. It's the only known creature that can see through its armor. Imagine having a suit of plate mail that lets you spot a bird flying overhead. It's biology bordering on science fiction. But why does a slow-moving grazer need vision at all? Because in the world of tide pools, survival is about awareness. A crab's claw, a diving bird, a predatory fish, any shadow from above could be a threat. So chitons don't run, they don't hide. Instead, they use their eyes to detect the threat before it's close, and then clamp down hard. The muscular foot flattens them against the rock, valves sealed, edges tucked tight. Their body becomes indistinguishable from stone, literally merging into their environment. To a predator, they just disappear. It's not just passive defense, it's armor with surveillance. A 360-degree biological alarm system that's been quietly watching for hundreds of millions of years. Now, when they're not locked down in self-defense mode, chitons spend their time eating, but not in the way you might expect. They're grazers, scraping algae and microorganisms off rocks with a structure called the radula, a tongue-like conveyor belt lined with rows of tiny teeth. But here's the twist. These teeth aren't just sharp. They're reinforced with magnetite, a natural iron oxide that's both magnetic and incredibly hard. In fact, chiton teeth are the hardest biological material known to science. Harder than bone, harder than enamel, even harder than spider silk. Each tooth wears down as it scrapes the rock, but the chiton's supply grows more in an endless conveyor belt of biological nanomachinery. It's the kind of design material scientists dream of. Self-renewing, ultra-hard, perfectly adapted for abrasion. The chiton's design is no accident. The body plan has been refined over 400 million years, dating back to the Paleozoic era. Chitons have survived all 5 major extinction events, watched continents shift, oceans rise and fall, and entire animal lineages come and go. They haven't needed to change much, because what they do works. They don't chase prey, they don't migrate, they find a good patch of algae, graze by night, and return to the exact same spot to rest each day. Some even wear visible resting scars into the rock, like an animal-shaped key in a geological lock. And incredibly, many chitons can live for 20 years or more, despite the constant pounding of waves, heat, cold, and predators. They don't just endure the elements. Chitons become part of the landscape. Now, when it comes to reproduction, chitons keep things simple, but strangely elegant. They have separate sexes, and most release sperm and eggs directly into the water column, a biological gamble known as broadcast spawning, similar to what hard corals do. With no parental care, the fertilized eggs hatch into trochophore larvae, tiny planktonic swimmers that drift for days before settling onto rocks. There, they undergo metamorphosis, growing their first plates and beginning life as slow, armored algae farmers. They'll never leave their tide pool. They'll never hunt. But in that stillness is a kind of quiet sophistication, an ancient pact between form and function. We tend to celebrate the fast and flashy and the intelligent. But nature doesn't play favorites, it plays long games. And the chiton is a master of the long game. It's not cute, it doesn't perform, but it builds armor that sees, teeth that never dull, and a life that lasts through extinction and upheaval. It teaches us that success in evolution doesn't always look like dominance. Sometimes it looks like sticking around, silently, patiently, for 500 million years. So the next time you crouch down near a tide pool, look closely. That little armored bump on the rock? It might just be one of the most extraordinary animals you've never heard of, watching the world through eyes made of stone. This is The Curious Current. Stay curious, stay current. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ned, I'm a science storyteller, and this is The Curious Current, where we do deep dives into all the mystery of the ocean. If you like this video, consider liking and subscribing, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to learn about next.